Hey everyone, what's going on? Goes Pop here, and today I'm doing a ranking video. This one is going to be on my #1 favorite film franchise within horror. That's right, and a lot of you already knew by now, the Toxic Avenger, in which I'm going to be doing all 5 movies, ranking from what I enjoy and what I enjoy the most. So, starting things off with Part 3, The Last Temptation of Toxie. Now, as the title suggests, the movie's a play on word of Martin Scorsese's film, The Last Temptation of Christ. It follows Toxie, in which, after raiding Tromaville of evil, there's nothing for him to do. That is until he joined Apocalypse Inc., led by the Mr. Chairman, or in by his true form, the Devil. Now, Toxie felt like he's been out of place. I mean, he's a hero, not a villain. And given the fact that, well, evil and good don't work together, but Toxie gave in. Now, I have so many flaws with this movie. Well, except for the beginning and ending, they were good. But the middle part, it felt like it was part of a drama series. I mean, all the talky, no violence. I wish I could complain about this movie, but I can't. I digress. But hey, it has some characters returning, like Cigar Face from the first film and the Japanese reporter from the second film. And to their credit, Last Temptation of Toxie felt like even though it felt like a drama film, but it does feel like it's a farewell to the 80s, because remember, the early 90s, it wasn't good for the genre. So I'm going to give The Last Temptation of Toxie, The Toxic Avenger Part 3, I'm going to give it C+. You did try. Okay, next up is Part 2, The Toxic Avenger Part 2. Now, this is the first time that the Toxic Avenger has traveled outside of the U.S., in which he travels to Tokyo, Japan. Now, Toxie's on a quest to find his long-lost father, a character we've never seen before. Now, when Toxie arrived in Japan, he actually thought he found his father, Big Mac Junko, who looks like this member of the Yakuza leader, but he's wrong. It's not him. He was a con artist named Big Mac Bunko. Now, Toxie's adventure in Japan is actually quite fun, but there's so much going on, like, oh boy, like all these ridiculous fights. But hey, this movie is also knowing that this movie marked the debut of Michael Jai White, in which, fun fact, Michael Jai White would actually go on to be in the 1997 Spawn movie, so you gotta be thankful to him. I mean, without him, we wouldn't have Blade or Black Panther, so be grateful to Michael Jai White. Anyways, back to his movie. While Toxie thinks he has accidentally took his father away, turns out it's not him. It's that con artist. His real father actually showed up at the end. And as for the chairman, he's basically on the run. Well, he got into hiding till the next film, which came out that same year. Overall, this movie felt like it was a tribute to how trauma influenced Japan, but at the same time, I kind of find it pretty weird. So weird, I love it. So, in the best of it, I'm going to give it B+. Okay, next up is Citizen Toxie, The Toxic Avenger Part 4, released in 2000. By the time of the new millennium, The Toxic Avenger was no stranger to the new millennium. So, Marvel legend Stan Lee, who is the narrator of this film, he said that this is the true sequel. I assure you, this is just a little stunt he's pulled. Again, rest in peace, Stan Lee. Now, it follows the Toxic Avenger as he's thrown from his own reality into an alternative reality called Amortville, Tromaville reversed, and he's got his nasty doppelganger, the Noxious Offender, in which he's kind of evil and, oh boy, he's just a sadist. Now, Citizen Toxie, it sounds like, now, just like The Last Temptation of Toxie, which is a play on word, Citizen Toxie is likely a play on word of Citizen Kane, the movie with Orson Welles. Now, I enjoy this movie a lot. Heck, there's some celebrity cameos, such as Lemmy and future filmmakers Eli Roth and James Gunn. Yo, this was in fact one of the early careers of James Gunn. Remember, he was a writer and actor for Troma. I mean, this was before he would go on to direct the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, and most lately, Superman. So, this movie, and also Eli Roth making a cameo in this movie, it felt insane because this was 2 years before he would direct Cabin Fever and later the first two Hostel films and his recent modern hit with Thanksgiving. Now, Citizen Toxie, there are so many references. Heck, there was even a version of Sergeant Kabuki Man in NYPD. Now, there were some fans of Sergeant Kabuki Man, and they weren't very happy of how he was handled in the movie, but I respect that. Now, I need to see that movie one day. Overall, Citizen Toxie has a lot of references. Heck, sorry, must have been swallowing something. Anyways, like I was saying, Citizen Toxie has a lot of references. One of them even referenced Star Wars, with both Toxie and his counterpart using their mobs as lightsabers, equaling the Toxic Avenger pulling some Darth Maul-esque moves. So overall, I'll give it an A-. I mean, it's a good film, but not good enough. Okay, next up is the original Toxic Avenger from 1984. Remember, in the early 80s, slashers were all the rage. So Troma took a look at that, and they're like, I don't know. So they're like, hey, what if we did a comedy film, and the other, what if we did a horror film? They're like, what if we combine both, taking place at a fitness center? Originally, this movie was going to be titled The Health Club, but it was changed to Toxic Avenger. It gave us a movie that combines a lot of things I like. Comedy, superhero, action, horror, all together in one. I mean, yeah, it may not be a mainstream film, but it's a cult film, and it surprisingly did well with audiences back then. And the Toxic Avenger had a lasting impact, including launching 3 sequels, a recent remake, as well as comics, video games, a stage musical, a surprisingly kid-friendly cartoon, and so on. Now, it's not to say that this movie's not for the faint of heart. It's for those who are interested in watching independent films, and so on. Heck, this movie, as well as the company Troma, this movie, namely the titular character, became Troma's mascot. Heck, the movie even had a Marissa Tomei. Yes, Marissa Tomei was in this movie. This was before she played Aunt May in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Knowing that Troma has quite an impact with Marvel, so needless to say, the Toxic Avenger 84 is no doubt one of the best cult films. Heck, I argue that this movie, I was actually surprised by it when I first got it and watched it back in 2023, so talk about a great birthday gift. Thanks, Mom. Anyways, I will give the original Toxic Avenger an A. And finally, it all comes down to the last one. Taking number 1 is, drumroll please, the recent reboot. This is the recent installment in the franchise, and it took 25 years for a new Toxic Avenger film. Plans for a remake happened back in the 2010s, when Arnold Schwarzenegger, best known as the T-800 in the Terminator series and Dutch in the first Predator film, he was signed on to play Toxie, but he dropped out because of his commitments with Terminator Genesis, and I respect Arnie's decision. Now, initially the movie was planned to be a PG-13 version of Toxic Crusaders, but that idea was scrapped. So they decided to give it an R rating and make it look like a remake of the very first film. Now, the movie went to production until 2021 during the pandemic. I get shivers when I mention that. Now, the movie had its premiere at a film festival in Austin in 2023, and surprisingly enough, it got critical acclaim. Now, initially, the movie was set to be released in 2024 to coincide with the franchise's 40th anniversary. And again, there was a problem. Looking for a distributor was challenging, so the movie was going to be lost media. But thank God, Cineverse came in and stepped in, the same distributor behind Terrifier 3. Now, the movie is no doubt one of the best remakes I've ever seen. It's got an ensemble cast, including Peter Dinklage of Game of Thrones, and of course, who also voiced Scourge in Transformers Rise of the Beast, as well as well-known veterans, including Jacob Tremblay, who was of course McKenna's son in The Predator, Elijah Wood, who was in the faculty, Elijah Wood, in which a lot of you may know him as Frodo from Lord of the Rings, but he's also the founder of his company, Spectavision. And of course, horror veteran himself, Kevin Bacon. And hard to believe this is one of Bacon's best acting moments ever. He's been in other films before. A year earlier, he was in Maxine, but before that, he was also in other films in the 80s and 90s, such as Friday the 13th and Tremors. And honestly, there are two ways you can go right with it. You can make a solid remake, and have it watered down and have no rain, or just be watered down to PG-13. And I assure you, this remake frickin' delivers. I love it, and it was all worth the wait. I'm happy this movie delivered, so I'm going to give this movie an A+. And thus concludes today's ranking video. I hope you enjoy my ranking on all five Toxic Avenger films, from the 1984 original to the modern reboot. If there's another interest of me wanting to do another ranking video, I might take a look. So I'll leave it up to you guys to see which franchise you want me to do a ranking video on next. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye, everyone. Subscribe and stay poppin'. Peace.